All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of A Million on the Moon. In this video, I have brought on Mess and discuss my most recent portfolio strategy, turning 10K into $1 million investing in this crypto space. So, man, thanks a lot for coming on. Sorry I was late this morning. Appreciate
Yeah, no
you.
worries, man. You're just like an hour and a half late, man. I mean, like you're an intern. You're an intern. And there's no reason for you to be that late, man. So it's all good, man. I guess we can just take a look at your portfolio or whatever. You probably invested in one coin anyways.
Right, well, that's exactly what I did. I'm sorry, I was doing my hair and makeup this morning.
That's
As we're
true.
recording, it's important to, look good.
100%.
Some of you won't understand, but I'll teach you a little about it later on. But for now, look, man, what's important to
What do we
discuss,
got, bro? This is a very nice, like, there's a lot of colors you got going on here, man.
a
This
lot of
is
a lot of colors, and there is indeed a
right.
lot going on. Because look, man, the whole reason why we both got into space in the first place is to seek financial
Get
freedom.
wrecked. Oh, okay.
No, to try to go from, I'll speak for myself, being very much not rich to hopefully very much rich. And
Right.
so in doing so, I want to try and take a portfolio of $10,000 and see if I can become a millionaire, multimillionaire in the year 2022. Who knows, might take a little bit longer, but we'll see.
hmm
And so in that effort, I have chosen perhaps what some may consider to be a drastic move, which is
hmm
to go all in on one particular play. That is the PulseX sacrifice phase, day one. So I wanted to bring you on to ask you, because look, man, me and you have different philosophies when it comes to this crypto space. We often have sometimes a little bit of a different perspective. So what are your thoughts in regards to my portfolio allocation strategy?
Look, man, I think investment opportunities are everywhere. Obviously, we all get into whatever we think is actually going to get us there the quickest. Now, with the whole Hex community and all that, I think they are. No one can actually take that away from them. Regardless of what I think about the technicals and who's running it and all that stuff, the Hex community is one of the most bullish communities ever. So, PulseX, in my opinion, actually got probably more hype than, and we could see the numbers. I mean, how many people actually sacrificed for the thing? Was it like
Um,
somewhere close, like shy of a billion or something?
well, there's well over $1 billion sacrificed
And if
and
we
well over
compare that
100,000
to,
unique wallets.
if we compare that to the Pulse Chain sacrifice, how much was that?
I don't have it pulled up quite just now, but give me a second.
Is it more though? I think it was more, wasn't it?
Yeah, there's far more sacrifice for PulseX and Pulse Chain by a lot.
So that's what I'm saying. I think the hype is big behind PulseX, man. So honestly, man, I wouldn't say that's a bad. I would probably not give it the 100% to PulseX, but I mean, man, look, anything can happen, and looks pretty good for PulseX, man. Regardless.
Well, I would agree. So, but in retrospect too, I actually would have perhaps not gone completely all in 10K on PulseX. I maybe would have done 8K, put 1K into Hex, 1K into liquid loans, maybe something like that. But what are your thoughts? How do you think you would have allocated 10K portfolio if you're trying to turn it into $1 million?
I think Hex is at a very good price right now to buy, and I think there's
Really? That's pretty surprising.
yeah, I mean, it's just because it's, dropped to what? What do we have? It's probably like 20 cents at the moment, right? 20, 21 cents, been hovering around that.
Pretty much, yeah.
See, yeah. So I think that's a good place to have at least like 25% of whatever you had into Hex to looking like, we're at support. If we're probably the lowest in terms of if you put the log. Yeah, exactly. It's probably at the lowest percent you can probably get it right now or lowest price. So, looking at some sort of gains coming up for 2022 and how everything's been developing, this is probably the best price locally to buy Hex at, unless it drops, and then that's a different case. But yeah, I would have gave 25% of that to Hex, 100%.
Really? Okay, that's pretty surprising.
But my
Believe it or not.
question is to you, why PulseX 100% as opposed to Pulse Chain or Hex? It looks like you're more bullish on PulseX.
Well, look, man, that's a good question. When I started this challenge of trying to turn 10K into $1 million, I want to make this a series on the channel. I first started it by reviewing my performance in the year 2021. I thought a lot about the coins I chose. I thought a lot about my approach. I thought about a lot of the lessons learned, the importance of following Bitcoin and its macro swing moves, the importance of keeping up with the narratives, and what projects and niches have market sponsorship. And one of the most important things and lessons I've learned in the year 2021 is that it's not just good enough to have a good idea. Many protocols have extremely good ideas, but if they lack focus and attention on their tokenomics, and if they don't build in fundamentals, then that coin will perform very poorly. One big example I could refer to is Anchor Protocol. Anchor Protocol was one of the biggest protocols, DeFi protocols, on the Terra Luna blockchain, where you can stake stablecoins and earn up to 20%, which is some of the it's one of, if not the highest APYs you can get on stablecoins in all of DeFi. That token should have done thousands of X, but it pumped at first, and I don't believe ever made a new all-time high and performed very poorly, because while it was a fantastic idea with plenty of use case and adoption, they did not build in fundamentals. They did not pay attention to the tokenomics. So, folks, it's not just good enough to buy into something that is interesting. You also need to consider the valuation tokenomics as well. And look, man, there's been recent discussions of this in our Discord group as well, where people were talking about, Brandon's, he's a fanatic when it comes to PulseX.
You're a
He's going all in
shill,
on PulseX.
man.
I am definitely a shill when it comes to PulseX. And
Right.
people are saying, why not Polkadot? Why not Cosmos? Why not Avalanche? Well, all those projects have done tens of X's, hundreds of X's, thousands of X's in the last couple of years. And so they're at, in my opinion, at a poor valuation. We're arguably at the later stages of a bull market and perhaps entering a bear market. So we have the option to either buy in after a couple hundred X to a fundamentally sound piece of infrastructure project with interesting technology like Avalanche, Polkadot, or Cosmos at a poor valuation, or you can get in at day one at the best possible valuation possible with the sacrifice phase into something like PulseX with the express design intention to do a 10,000x with the track record of Richard Hart building projects to pump in value, and HEX, which actually achieved a 10,000x. Look,
Right.
man, that's the thing. And this is the thing people got to understand. Richard Hart is trying to take over the space. He is building projects expressly designed to pump a lot in value. He said he would build HEX to do a 10,000x in 2 years. It goddamn did it. He said he was going to do it again with Pulse Chain. And he didn't just do it a second time. He did it a third time, saying, I now want to do the same thing with PulseX. And look, man,
Yeah.
fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you.
Shame on 100%.
I
100%.
missed
So I
on HEX,
guess
man. I'm not missing out on the next 10,000x.
so basically you just gave your money to Richard Hart, man. That's your portfolio. Richard Hart 100%. Richard Hart ecosystem. So my second, I guess, follow-up question to you is PulseX, I guess, in your opinion, is gonna get you to the 1 million quicker than Pulse Chain or Hex. So let's say someone right now has some sort of money at the moment, and I look at your portfolio, you're like, yeah, I'm just going all in 100% on PulseX. Do you think PulseX is gonna outperform Pulse Chain or Hex in the near future, or upon launch, or for 2022, or for the next 5 years, basically?
Look, man,
And
I
there's
would have.
important information for
Yeah.
hexagons as well, right? If someone just got into Hex or the Richard Hart ecosystem, there's probably something that they got to keep in mind. What's the within the Hex ecosystem or within the Richard Hart projects ecosystem, what is the best way to go right now? Because we got 3 different projects.
Look, man, that's a very good question, especially for new people. So I would have answered this question differently a couple weeks ago, but now that we've recently gotten the news that you will be able to stake PulseX and earn this new inflationary token, essentially giving you an extremely good excuse to never sell any PulseX. Because if you ever want to extract gains from your PulseX, or if you want to ever extract profit from your PulseX gains, you could simply stake it and then sell the rewards in this new third inflationary token that's removing a shit ton of sell pressure from PulseX. So given that most recent news, I do believe that there's a solid chance that for people who sacrificed into PulseX before the rate increased, that those people will outperform perhaps Pulse Chain because of that most recent news, and even more so Hex. Now, in regards to what I would do today, the rate has increased sixfold since the beginning of the sacrifice phase. So personally, if I hadn't had any allocation to PulseX, my biggest risk factor would be not having any exposure. So let's say I wanted to get into PulseX, I would probably put in half of what I want right now in the sacrifice phase and the other half when it goes live on a dip, or perhaps half in the sacrifice phase and then half into Hex. Because again, folks, you will be getting a duplicate copy of all your liquid and staked Hex on the Pulse chain. If you're holding it on a wallet, you have the private keys to before the snapshot which is basically essentially before February the 26th. So if you're holding Hex before the 26th, you will get a copy on the Pulse chain, which you can then use to swap for Pulse chain, swap for PulseX. So
Right.
those are kind of my thoughts.
Perfect. That's actually good, man. So
Yeah.
if that's the case, then sure, we put in the money we sacrifice the money to PulseX. What happens after? You're waiting for some sort of, couple of X's or 10X or 100X before you start distributing. Because I see you have HEX and Pulse Chain, as an option, but I'm
Right.
assuming that's still part of your plan,
Yeah.
after.
Yeah. Yeah. So my plan moving forward is to simply stake my PulseX and then use those staking rewards to buy Pulse Chain and buy HEX moving forward. Probably more so on Pulse Chain, because I do believe that one very large factor that determines one's potential return on investment is how early you are into a project. And so while I am incredibly long-term bullish on HEX, and HEX is currently my actually is well, because PulseX doesn't exist yet, HEX is currently my number one largest investment. I obviously do believe in it long term, but again, HEX has been out for 2 years. Pulsion will be new. Therefore, I believe it has a slight edge to outperform. Although we'll see, it could perform pretty much on par. We frankly have no idea. It's all speculation. But I will be using the staking rewards to buy more Pulse Chain and more HEX, and then stake that Pulse Chain, stake that HEX. And man, my plan is to never sell my principal. If I'm ever going to extract value, I'm only going to extract value through the staking rewards I get and the interest I get through staking Pulse Chain HEX and PulseX.
Damn, man.
Yeah.
Damn. What are you expecting on this? So, like 10K to a million challenge, I guess.
Look, man.
God damn, man.
Look, man.
God damn, bro.
I think I should have made this a 1K to 1 mil challenge because I think I'm gonna get it, man.
Look, man, I think that's I think overall, man, look, in crypto there's so many different opportunities, but different opportunities have different, different shine to them, different characteristics. And look, man, I really think that within the HEX overall ecosystem, something's fruitful is gonna come out. And whether it being 1,000x, 10,000x, or whatever the case might be, I think people are gonna still make money within it, man. So, and I think that's something we can take at all from the HEX community. And yeah, man. But I mean, woo, 10K to a million. When do you think you're gonna get that, man? This year, next year, 3 years?
I think we get it within a year or two, man. So this is simply 100x, right? I'm looking for the next 100x. Frankly, man, I think PulseX and Pulse Chain are the next 1,000x, the next 10,000x. Now the question is, will that be based off price action or based off the SAC rate? Because I do believe, especially the early day SAC rate, is very likely to be far better than anything the price will ever trade for. Although, of course, that is speculation in something we don't know for sure. Now, one last thing I would want to add is that PulseX, again, is the main decentralized exchange on Pulse Chain, but I do believe it's in a much more fundamentally sound position than any other DEX ecosystem. Because if we look at Ethereum, you have Uniswap, you have 1inch, you have SushiSwap, you actually have a lot of popular competitors on the Ethereum ecosystem. PulseX, there will be a this bot that grabs all the liquidity from all these dexes on the Ethereum side, and all that liquidity, all those all those ERC20 pairs and PRC20 pairs will all be hosted on PulseX. So basically, PulseX will have a monopoly in the decentralized exchange ecosystem on Pulse Chain, and that's a very big deal because a portion of every fee will be used to buy PulseX on the open market and burn it. So just to kind of summarize here, man, look, this thing will have the max supply day one, deflationary from the start, constant buy and burn and buy pressure from the start. And if you want to buy this thing, you have to buy it off someone like me who ain't trying to sell it to you, who's trying to hold for the next 1,000x, hold for the next 10,000x. Plus, now you have a really great excuse to never sell it, because if you want to extract value, if you want to extract profits, want to realize profits, you can stake PulseX and sell this new third inflationary token, thus removing a shit ton of sell pressure from PulseX moving forward. I mean, man, look, this thing was designed with the express intention to appreciate in value. There's a track record of Richard Hart doing this and succeeding, and I think this is the next one to do it, man.
There we go, man. Well, there we go, guys. This Brendan's master plan to get him to the million. Once we get to a million, then we got to shut off the channel, man.
I'm gonna buy a Rolly, man.
It was always a million or the moon, right?
Well, that's why we
We're
call
gonna
it
have
the
to
million
change
of
it
the
to a
moon.
billion, man.
Well, no, because if we got a million, well, then we can go to the moon, right?
That's true. That's
Yeah.
true. Hey, man, I think it's a pretty good approach. I think there's also a lot more tools that we're also we got a nice guest coming up, man, by the end of this week. Do we tell them right now, or should we not?
We should tell them. You want to go ahead, Dom?
You go ahead. Have the honors, please.
Folks, we will have the Hadron people, Alex, on this Friday to talk about Hadron.
Alice coming through, man.
Yeah, Hadron is a super interesting project, tokenizing HEX stakes as NFTs. Lots of potential there, so we're going to be talking to him this Friday. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that bell icon to be notified of new uploads. Check out our Discord. Check out our Patreon. Check out our Twitter. Everything's down in the description below. Make sure you click all those buttons. Except for me, man.
Appreciate y'all. Love you all. Make sure you beware scammers in the comments, man. They're everywhere. And
Are you drinking Coke? You can't even drink water, huh?
That's actually Starbucks coffee. Relax. I drink a lot of water.
Sure.
Look, man, I'm a monster, bro. I need something to move this whole,
Alright.
body of art. So I can't really have you.
Maybe once we make those millions, I'll send you some bottles of water. So
Appreciate it, bro. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day.
take care.
Cut it.